5D tech. All right. 5D is the talk of the new age. You know, esoteric aliens community. Those people who think they are aliens and that a bunch of different species of aliens roam the galaxy, and they might be right. I don't think so. I don't believe it. But anyway, when I say 5D tech, what I really mean is G. Tech. The two concepts are actually intertwined, but I'm going to save my breakdown of the dimensions of thought and reality for a different video. For right now, I'm just going to start with trying to articulate what I know, what I think I know, and what I know I have no idea about concerning this tech that, has been, would be the talk of the town if it weren't for the old oligarchs. Got my hipster beer here. Anyway, there's all kinds of fear stories and, talk about the dangers, just pollution and the way it can affect your mind, brain waves, brain states, weaponized characteristics, directing it, targeting, attack, defense, 5D, 5 is the number of attack and defense, to put it in the words of 107. But I already knew that, actually, because I figured out some things about the dimensions last year, kind of before all of this 5D stuff really exploded. So I was like, whoa, this doesn't fit what I know. So I'll criticize that later. Anyway, I know I'm beating around the bush and I'm, not being direct, but that's because we're talking about them towers. And you can't do that. So I gotta do my best not to. Well, the weapon ship, totally true. I've seen enough documentation of that, and not just speculation. I've read enough, studied enough to know. Totally. I mean, I can use a regular soundboard, mixing a band, and kind of use it in a similar way. Obviously not like that, but I mean, the way I run the dials is totally going to affect the energy in the room. It's totally going to affect the way people receive the music, the way they feel. Like, you can do a lot with them little dials. But one thing that I figured out last year, something I haven't heard anybody talk about at all. Now, there was speculation that early in 20, the grid got flipped on, and that caused a lot of issues. The old 2 weeks, flatten the curve issues. And that then what happened was Mr. T-Dog, had actually nationalized that grid to take it away from the oligarchs. And that was an interesting theory, but I didn't find much evidence for that till one day I was out in the middle of nowhere, countryside, and I do electrical work, by the way, for money. It's one of the gazillion things I do. And doing a gig, that happened to be on a mountaintop. And aren't a whole lot of things on mountaintops besides said towers. And while we were there, a crew also showed up to do some work up on the towers, man. So it's hard to find words for this. Sorry. Anyway, the idea you're gonna hear is worth it. So, you know, I'm over here knowing a thing or two about electricity and about field theory and about, you know, EM and you know, health and all this kind of crap. And I'm looking at the boxes for the equipment they're installing, because I know that you know, to find the information on this stuff, all I really need is the manufacturer, right? So I see the boxes and I'm going, huh, okay, remembering that one. And then you know, it was a real cool crew of dudes. They were rad, down to earth dudes, climbing up there, putting that new stuff on. And when I had a chance, I asked the guy who I think he was kind of the foreman, or, you know, job site boss, whatever you want to call it, I think. And he happened to be a few feet away from me at one point. And I said, hey, man, how's it going? He's like, oh, it's good, man. A lot of work, busy as heck. And I was like, yeah, you guys are putting a lot of those up recently, aren't you? And he kind of took a step back a little bit. I could see his wheels turning, and he took a moment to collect his thoughts, obviously shifting gears into professionalism mode. I am very well acquainted with that, what that looks like. And you know, he took a second to try to answer my question, and then he said, yeah, you know, for anyone that'll pay for it, but it's not cheap. And I was like, all right. And I left it at that. I wasn't going to push the guy, you know. I've been developing the ability for many, many years now to get the answers to my questions without asking the questions that I want to ask. I ask peripheral questions. I ask, you know, I ask a question that isn't really what I would want to ask, and then from that I can extrapolate a bunch of information and usually figure out the answer to the question I originally had in mind, right? And part of the reason for that is a lot of times the person you're asking won't actually know the answer to the question that you ask. But if they do or know something about it, they're going to switch into, you know, professional mode and try to skirt the question or give you the, you know, freaking easy answer that you can find with a quick Google search, right? It's all programming. They just scripted answers. So to get around that, you kind of got to ask questions in a little bit more of an abstract way. Anyway, so I went home and I looked up this company, and turned out it was rather new, relatively new, newer than, you know, the rest of all of this tech, which we know has been in development and being installed for years. And it was fascinating because it was basically a company. It was a horn company, right? And these horns were for installation on towers. And what their stated purpose was for cleaning discordant frequencies out of the band, right? Out of the field. So I thought that was super fascinating because as an electrician, I work with a little bit of Tesla theory, Tesla's ideas, right? He did, after all, invent alternating current. And most people don't understand how alternating current works. I'm not going to claim to either, because I still have a lot to wrap my head around. I have really strong impressions and then kind of a an internalized understanding of a good amount of things that I'm still trying to figure out how to articulate correctly, scientifically, mathematically, all the jargon. But the important thing about alternating current, the gist is, you got your black wire, that's your hot wire, your power wire, and you got your green or bare wire, and that's your ground wire, right? But then you have the white wire, and that's supposed to be your neutral wire. And a lot of people don't understand. They're like, oh, the neutral, it's not hot, it's just the neutral. We don't even really know what it's for. It's one of those stupid code things that they force us to do, blah, whatever, right? Well, what they don't understand is the function of the neutral wire. I understand the function. What I need to do is wrap my head around why exactly it accomplishes that, theoretically and all that. And I have a pretty good impression. Anyway, the function of the neutral wire is to clean the discordant frequencies out of the circuit and send it back to source, right? That's the Tesla idea that I get to handle, hands-on, dang near every day. Just this concept of the neutral wire, cleaning discordant frequencies. What are discordant frequencies? Well, the simple explanation of it, in relationship to electricity and residential commercial electricity, is that the discordant frequencies are the heart-stopping frequencies. And so by cleaning those out of the system and sending them back, you have cleaner power, right? It's not full of all kinds of erratic, random, conflicting, discordant frequencies. It's clean power, right? So I thought that was interesting, that this company made horns that had the stated purpose of cleaning discordant frequencies out of the field, and that not necessarily everywhere was getting this particular tech, and that it was based on demand. So that gave me some impressions, left me with some interesting things to ponder in relationship to the changing of the times here, changing of the tech. Well, I've also been traveling back and forth between my job and Portland, Oregon. Yeah, that infamous place where so much of this shit is spewing from. They just do a good job of kind of trying to stay off the map till the last year. But they still stay out of the news for the most part. They're smart. They know what they're doing. Or at least crafty. I don't know about smart. But for the last year and a half, I have been going back and forth between that town and more rural places and other towns. And I have noticed that there is a distinct field of some kind over that place. I don't know how to say too much more about that without getting woo-woo or saying stuff you can't. But basically, it was like infrared. Just infrared hard. And just intense. Like you could feel it, make your skin crawl, make you feel shitty, give you a headache, like immediately, as soon as you get within like a few miles of the city, driving down the highway. And I thought that was strange, but I had enough repeat occurrences of the same sensation, the same feeling and the impression, and realizing like, no, this is consistent. This is a consistent thing. I'm doing this drive every couple of weeks, right? Well, then my dad came on a trip down there with me, and without me saying anything, he said the same thing. He was like, "Oh man, what the heck?" He's like, and he's not a woo-woo guy. Like, he's just like, something's weird, man. It feels weird here. It feels really weird. I don't like it. It's like making my skin crawl. And I was like, huh. It's interesting, because I've been kind of talking about that just a little bit with some friends who are interested in research. So then, more time goes by. But, more recently, my girl, see, because we live in the suburbs, and out there, it's noticeably less intense. Noticeably. Right? Like, I could tell. I drive through the city, and it's like I go into a bubble, drive through, pop out of the bubble, and then I'm home. And it's kind of rough energetically compared to other places I've been in the last year, but it's better at my house. Well, anyway, my girl recently gets a job down in town, and so she's been working down there for the last few weeks. And man, some wild symptoms. I won't go too much into detail, but basically what I keep finding from my research, my observations, and the things people tell me. Everybody tells me about their health problems because I've done so much experimenting on myself to heal from debilitating injuries and whatnot that I know a thing or two, right? Not a doctor. I don't give medical advice, but I do listen and actually try to understand and I believe, what people are telling me about their experiences with health. And so, sometimes I can throw some good references their way, or like, oh, you should check out this book or this idea or whatever, think about it. And so anyway, many people have been telling me their experiences, but my girls, the last few weeks has just been wild, yo. And anyway, to wrap up the point, what I've been noticing is that all of the symptoms that I keep seeing in the last year and a half, literally all check the boxes for radiation sickness. And I keep seeing it. With different people, more people. Seems to me some places have these horns that clean the field, and some places don't. And I think that the places that don't are getting hammered, just absolutely hammered with discordant frequencies, and experimented on, tested on, manipulated, pushed around, put into certain states of mind. Yeah. It's really intense. I have, almost no one to talk to about this stuff besides my girl. She actually, believes me when I talk about my theories and other people's theories, because she knows I research so dang heavily and I sift so hard that if I'm talking about it and I'm not just specifically stating like, oh, this is something people think, but that if I'm actually talking about it like I actually believe it, that's to be taken with more than just a grain of salt, because I wouldn't be saying I thought this if I didn't have both a really strong intuition about it and spent a bunch of time researching it and trying to put the pieces together. So anyway, trying to have a conversation, trying to talk to some people that might also have insights into this potential reality, and also kind of put my 2 cents out there on the interwebs, and just have it out there. Hopefully some people will look at it. Obviously I can't name this video the right name for what I'm talking about, so hopefully people end up seeing this. But I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep finding better ways to articulate it. But, I can't hold back anymore. There's so many things that I know of or have experienced for myself, have researched, studied, hypothesized about, theorized about, that nobody's talking about, at least on the internet. Nobody's talking about the things I think I know. And that's kind of freaky. And now, that so many people have woken up and are more interested in, kind of far out ideas, things they maybe previously thought were unbelievable. I think that people might actually finally be ready to listen to and talk to people like me, The old YouTubes, they're getting stale. The truther community is just kind of saying the same crap over and over again, and they get little stuff here and there, but they've been wrong about a lot of things, and wrong about a lot of things in a lot of ways that I knew when I was listening to them. So I really feel I do need to contribute to this conversation. Not that I have all the answers, but I do have some good, solid thoughts and ideas.